I think is fundamentally important, that it can never be too genuine.
People don't really realize, number one, who is my story for and what impact will my story have on them?
It is not about us. It is not about our experiences even. It's about the people.
In sharing stories for business, you want for your stories to have impact on the people that truly matter, your target markets.
If your audience are lawyers, you must speak to them in the language of the lawyers. If you are talking to a tech startup, for example, then you must use their language.
In business, the sole aim is to convert, meaning you want people who come across your content to be led somewhere.
Our story must reflect the people we are talking to. And all our experiences, the preamble that we are going to use, must also reflect that. Even when we are authentic, our authenticity must reflect that.
That's why we talk about your target market. We talk about, you've done the research, market research. I know who I'm speaking to. I know their age limit. I know what they'll be doing right now. I have an idea of what they do as an activity. Once you've done that, is the story really speaking to them, those people from your research? Is the story really for them? Can they appreciate that story? That's the fine difference between just sharing stories for the sake of or sharing stories for business. In sharing stories for business, you want for your stories to have impact on the people that truly matter, your target markets. Are you sharing, because Mr. Obehi said something that I laughed, I chuckled. You said sharing the quarrel between you and your partner. Is that really appropriate for your target market? Now, like I said, if you are sharing stories for the sake of, sure enough, you can share a story about what you had for breakfast. But what I found is people don't really realize, number one, who is my story for and what impact will my story have on them? In business, the sole aim is to convert, meaning you want people who come across your content to be led somewhere. Whether you're saying a call to action, whether you're saying use this link to my website, or send me an email here, or this is my contact address for calls. There's usually a format and there's usually a call to action. So what impact is that story that you're sharing going to have? Now, we have some level of control over the impact. And so since we have that level of control, we have to be very particular about what stories we decide to share and really think about the impact that story would have on our business. And so in being genuine and being real, which is being authentic, really ask yourself, how does this benefit the person who this story is exposed to? Are you encouraging them? Are you motivating them? Or are you leading them somewhere, like I said, through the call to action? So that's where I feel like a lot of thoughts need to go into who is this story for? And what are they going to get from this story that I'm sharing? When you think that, you would be really, really particular about what stories you pick, because you don't want to share stories about your quarrel with your partner if the aim, for instance, if the aim is to inspire and to maybe just give somebody like some hope, yeah, you can definitely do that. You can be like, well, this is what happened between me and my partner, and this is what happened, and then we reconciled, and la da 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 da, we're good now. Okay, good. That inspires, that can motivate somebody who is in a similar situation. But if that's not your goal, if you really want to convert, then I would not advise you to share such stories. You want to share stories about your career progression. You want to share stories about incidents that happen and spurred you to take the path that you've taken. You want to share stories of challenges that you faced or are facing, and how you're able to navigate it. You want to share stories that position you as helpful, as a resource person. In when people see those stories, they not only see you as that resource person, they see you as somebody who they can trust, because going in line with what we're saying about being authentic, being real, being truthful, being honest, being genuine. They see you as somebody they can trust, they see you as genuine, and is mission accomplished. So really, really, really look at that, because I just really wanted to touch on that, because I see that happen a lot of the times, especially here on LinkedIn. I feel like some stories, if it's for the sake of, good, but some stories, if it's for business, you want to be really particular about the goal and who you're speaking with and what impact you want those stories to have. And with that said, you're going to see like a massive change, not just in engagement, but really in feedback. So once you have that motive and that goal to say, this is what I want and this is how I want it to inspire someone or motivate someone or lead them to my newsletter, my email list, right? These are goals. These are I feel like business goals. Okay, if that's what your goals are, pick stories that highlight that and lead them to that point. With that said, I'm going to stop here because I can go on and on. But it's always a pleasure to be here. Honestly, I have enjoyed the conversation, and I'll be here, joining in and listening in. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That is a beautiful, beautiful take. How much I love that. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate also the clarification that you make there, which is, I think, is fundamentally important, that it can never be too genuine. I love that. I love that. Now, in line with this authenticity thing, I think another thing that sort of relates to this a bit is when people say, you need to write the script or the story in the way that a 2-grader or a 3-grader can understand it, or write it for the 3-grader. The problem with this is that, what if the person you are writing for is not a 2-grader? Would that still make sense? Well, it's not going to make sense, because the point is, like Anna has said, if the story you are telling is to the audience who maybe have to do with settling relationship issue and all of that, why not? The trouble that you have with your spouse, share with them, because that is the people, that is the audience. Because in this audio room event, we have stressed it time and again that it is not about us. It's not about our experiences even. It's about the people. Which is to say that we need to enter into our life, harvest all the experiences that we have made, lace it into the story, but it must be to the interest of the people we are talking to. If your audience are lawyers, you must speak to them in the language of the lawyers. If you write to them in the way of 2 years kids, you are going to miss them because they are not 2 years kids. But what if you are writing for some people that are just on the street, they have no understanding of high grammar, for example? There is no need putting a lot of high grammar in your writing because they will still not understand it, which is to say that it is about the people that you are talking with. If you are talking to a tech startup, for example, then you must use their language. There is no need putting the terms and terminology of the Mendes inside because it will probably not make sense to them. So I think one thing that I'm really going to take away from this conversation, even though we haven't really finished it, is that our story must reflect the people we are talking to. And all our experiences, the preamble that we are going to use, must also reflect that. Even when we are authentic, our authenticity must reflect that. So thank you so much for that, Anna. That is very beautiful.